So today I wanted to talk to you about something that I have felt for many, many years, and something that I tried to convey to as many people as possible while I was in the Christian community as a pastor, without really realizing the depth of the statement until I started looking at it from the other side of Christianity. And now that statement has even more meaning than it had before, and it's always been a powerful statement. And what I'm talking about is what I will call the I am statements. And from where I started with this train of thought is within the Christian community. The story of Jesus, especially the Gospel of John, which was always my favorite of the four Gospels because it was written so much differently. There's what you call the synoptic Gospels, which is Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then you've got John, which is not one of it's one of the four canonical Gospels that's included in the New Testament, but it's so different from the other three that it kind of is set apart. And inside the Gospel of John, Jesus makes some statements that include the words I am. He actually makes some statements just saying I am, just like all inclusive, I am. Memory. So look here, one of them is I am the bread of life. That was one of the statements he made. So he would add things to it. I am this, I am that. I am the bread of life, I am the light of the world, I am the door of the sheep, I am the good shepherd, I am the resurrection and the life, I am the way, the truth, and the life, I am the true vine. And then he also made just these absolute I am statements as well in the Gospel of John. And I'd often thought about that because that I am goes back into the Old Testament story of Moses. When Moses met God on Mount Sinai in thunders and lightnings, and God, spoke to him, and he said, well, when I go to this Pharaoh and tell him all these things you want me to tell him, who do I say that you are? And God, whose name we really don't know, we don't know the true name of God. It's a mystery, right? And because God says, well, tell Pharaoh that I am that I am. That's all you need to tell him. In other words, God didn't give Moses a name. You don't get to know my name, Moses. No, we're not going to play that game. Because in ancient times, people believed that if you knew the name of a god or a spirit or whatever, then you had the power of that god or that spirit. So names are very powerful things, and God's saying, you don't control me. You don't get my power. You don't get my name. I am that I am. And so then Jesus comes along and he makes these statements in the Gospel of John. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. He says, I am the true vine, and you are the branches. And I want to do a shameless promotion here, if you're interested. This concept worked its way into the one and only book. Well, it's not the only, actually. I've written a couple of books, but this is the big one. Was a devotional, year-long devotional that follows through the Bible. So I wrote this when I was a pastor back in 2009. Didn't publish it till 2012, and I self-published it. But it's called Connections to the Vine. It's a 700-page, 365-day walk through the Bible. You go through the Old Testament once, if you follow the reading plan that's included. Go through the Old Testament once, the New Testament twice. I write about it every day, the scripture, a portion of the scripture. I pick a little piece of it and I write about it. And then that's the devotional book. Started out as a website journal kind of thing. I'll put a link to it. You can still get it at Amazon. You can get it on an ebook, or you can get it hard copy. Hard copy is a lot more expensive, but it's a big book. But anyways, I'll put a link for it. It's called Connections to the Vine, and it came about. That title came about a couple of different ways, but one of them, the thought is, I am connected to God. I'm connected to the vine. And so Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. In other words, you are all part of who I am, I am. We're all connected. It's it's connections to that vine. And I think that the mindset that Christians mistakenly get into is of thinking of Jesus saying, I am these things and you are not these things. Because I think it was more like, not so much I am, but we are. We all are. I think that's really the true message that Jesus was trying to get across. Now that's controversial, maybe in some ways, but I think he was trying to open us up to who we all are. I think he had maybe even some Buddhist and knowledge of Buddhism, because Buddhism was around in Jesus' time. You understand? Okay, so let's go a little bit further down the rabbit hole here. In the New Testament, this is on the subject of Jesus and Jesus' I am statement still. In the New Testament, in the 3 synoptic gospels, similar gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, we learn about his birth, and then we hear about him at age 12 in the temple. They find him there in the temple teaching, and they'd lost him. They started on their way home, and where's Jesus? And he's back at the temple. Then we don't hear anything else about Jesus until he's about 30 years old. So there's a big time span there. It's said that Jesus went into Egypt during those years after the temple, but we don't know exactly what happened really during that time. And some people speculate that Jesus was he learned somehow about Buddhist teachings, and that he may have even be considered a Buddha in some Buddhist temples and schools. So that's kind of interesting, because a lot of his teachings lean toward the same kind of thoughts. Okay, so he could have gotten influenced by a lot of different things, and then kind of come to the realization that we're all connected. We're all part of this bigger thing. And I really think that as time went on and the Bible and the scriptures developed and everything, we've kind of learned to understand things the way we're supposed to understand things. And Jesus is God. There is no other. But if he's saying I am one with everything, then we're all part of this bigger thing. We're all part of it. He's the vine, we're the branches. We're all part of this same thing. I guess my conflict, though, kind of starts where I'm saying we're all kind of at least have the potential to be a Buddha, a Jesus type person. You know what I'm saying? Someone like him, enlightened. And I think I think Jesus was an enlightened person. And what enlightenment means, from my understanding of it, is the knowledge that you are one with everything. And it can also be the knowledge that you are nothing. You're nothing. You're not this. You're not that. I'm not this body that I'm in. I'm not really the organ of the brain. That's not really who I am. I'm not that. I'm not this. So you can kind of go the other direction. You can either go the I am direction, or you can go the not this, not that direction. And that's something I kind of learned from an online fellow that does a show called Coy's Corner. Really, really cool show. I'll try to link his channel in the description of this video, and since we're talking about the I am statements, I'll just say that method, the I am everything, I'm one with everything kind of method, resonates more with me, and I can kind of understand it a little better, and it seems a little easier to kind of start getting to that. I'm not saying I'm there or I'm even close, but to start getting toward that, I think. And that's what like I say, I've been working on that for a long time. I've been thinking about this for a long time. And I guess that's about all I have to say about it for now. I may come back and do more, but it's something to think about, and I'd like to know your thoughts about it, the I am statements. And not just the statement, and I didn't talk a whole lot about other theological people like Buddha and Krishna, but they had I am statements also. So I'm just not as fluent on those. So I talk more about what I come from, which is why this is probably an ex-pastor files video, which is a series where I talk a lot about my previous experiences as a pastor, and and where I'm at now. So the channel name also, I wanted to mention this before I sign off. I just recently changed the channel name to Southern Zen. So I want to do more videos like this, talking about theological and philosophical questions. So if you have any ideas or thoughts about what you'd like to hear me talk about along those lines, please comment below, and I'd be glad to go down any kind of rabbit trail we want to go down. So thanks a lot for watching. I know this has been kind of a long video, and I appreciate your watching, and I appreciate you liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. So until next time, laters.